pretty. Come along. Hi garden gals and guys, it's Steph with Tiny's Garden, and I'm coming to you today with a bunch of spring things that are kind of impromptu, but it's gorgeous out. It's like 70 degrees here in zone 5B/6A where I garden in the Chicago suburbs. For those of you new here, I am a home gardener. Let's get right into it. So we actually made an impromptu stop at the garden center. For those of you who are local, I went to Chalet. Decided I would get some stuff for my window boxes and spruce up the front porch a little bit. I'm not going to get everything done today, but at least give it some color and some spring vibes. I also want to get my anemones and ranunculus that I haven't planted yet planted. So those are the goals. We'll see how far this mama gets. So I got a plethora of colors and pansies. I also brought out my tray. I started from seed of Iceland poppies and pansies. We have frizzle, sizzle, and antique shades there. The Iceland poppies will go into a cutting bed, but these I think I can use in some pots up here. Then I also picked up some grown ranunculus. Yes, it's red. Some people don't love red in the garden. I love it. I can take it anytime, anywhere. And Ascot Rainbow Euphorbia. And this is where I thought I could tie the red in because there's some yellow in those leaves. There's also a tinge of red, and that'll kind of tie into the pansies. Now this pansy I thought was really unique, almost a mauve color with a deeper burgundy beside it. It is called Pansy Spring Matrix Pink Shade. So I picked up some of those, and then the rest of them over here are just an assortment of purples, light blues, and yellows. I also picked up these pussy willow sticks because I can cut them down and use them as somewhat of a thriller or a little structure piece in the window boxes. I also got some green Algerian ivy hanging baskets that are really voluminous, have a lot of volume to them and are draping down. I'm going to keep those as staples on each side of my front porch, and AJ is actually hanging those right now. This is our before shot, and while we won't probably get to everything, we'll still have a difference here. Okay, first up we've got green Algerian ivy. AJ's hanging for me. I'm not lifting heavy things today. These I can keep up here all year if I would like. If it gets into a deep frost, I'll bring them inside. But I thought that might be just a nice staple piece. I like how long they are and flowy. We'll get the tags off and they'll be good to go. Here's a look from farther back, and it already makes a big difference just giving that front porch an inviting space. Okay, first thing we've done for these window boxes is fill them up with Ocean Forest from Fox Farm. AJ's doing the heavy lifting today. Really, any potting soil should do just fine. But we've got these filled. Actually, he probably filled them a little too much, but that's okay. Now, these are my spring pots from last year. Both sides are finished. Loving the pop of color that the pansies give that down there. If you remember, I got those pussy willows as little trees in early spring, sometime in April, and I planted these up for spring. They've lasted me all of spring, all of summer, and they'll last me through fall. And you can see this pussy willow actually already bloomed, but I'm going to clean out the bottom, and while I've got AJ doing heavy lifting for me, you can see this one just has buds, which is exciting. I'm going to have him fill these up as well. I'm so glad that these pussy willows came back again. So we'll come in here and we'll pull all these little dead ones out. I've got this one filled up with the excess from the window boxes over there. And so we're going to take the bag, which these I got half off at the end of last season. So remember, at the end of the season, you can get some really good deals on your potting soil, because this is expensive potting soil. So now we're going to fill up this one. And while I've got my heavy lifter here, I'm just going to have him top off these beautiful antique urns on each side. That way everything, that's good. is topped off with fresh soil and I don't have to do any heavy lifting, so these twins can stay put. Thank you very much. So this is the ranunculus bed that we planted the other day, me and Briggs. We got to here, and then I decided I shouldn't lift anything heavy again, so we're going to keep on with the heavy lifting just a little bit down here from that landscape staple over, and we'll go around the ranunculus. I'm using Cottonburg compost, but really any high quality compost should work, and you can usually find something at your local garden center. We picked up some Biotone starter fertilizer at the garden center, so I'm going to go ahead and spread some in here because I didn't have some the other day. And then we'll do the same thing to the anemone bed. I'm just gonna take a handful and sprinkle throughout the bed. It's a slow release fertilizer, so I'm not gonna fertilize them again the rest of the season, nor have I fertilized them yet. And now just mixing it in with the compost. And here's what's going on in the anemone bed. Glory, glory, hallelujah. I'm gonna pick that one and put it in a bud vase. We've got buds on the ones that have come back from last year. I'm still gonna have AJ pour some compost in so we can top this bed off a little bit. We'll get rid of those weeds. Okay, we have a little emergency. I had no idea that this over here was a bunny's nest. We just ran and got Axel inside. Kind of looked like a bird nest, but I did not realize it was a bunny's nest, and I've got to get those shears away from that one. Oh my gosh, there's like 4 or 5 bunnies. Okay, this has not happened to me before. My heart rate is going up. I'm gonna stay calm. Okay, this is a beautiful sign of spring. Everybody's okay. Everybody's fine. I'm gonna have AJ get those shears for me. Holy cow, 1, 2, 3, and there's another one over there, 4. Okay, we're gonna try and slowly remove those. Great job. And you wanna put the nest back on top? Bridger, I need you to step back. Okay. I think we should just move away from this bed.
Yeah, and let them go back to their little home.
And let them go back to their nest. Sorry, guys. Look at those babies. One all the way in the corner. I don't see Mama.
Well, Mama
and the other one's all the way in that other corner. Okay, so we've switched to bunny saving mode. The garden stuff is on hold for a second. I'm not going to plant the anemones in the bed until they're relaxed and calm. They're scared, and so we're just going to move away from the bed. I'm going to plant my anemones somewhere else. I'll leave these that are in here. And we'll let these guys just relax. Oh, hi, little Thumper. Oh, there's 2 over there. And I'm going to use this bed for the rest of the ranunculus and anemones. So AJ is going to spread out Biotone starter fertilizer here. These have already had compost put on top of them, and this should be fine. Now we'll just rub that in so it's mixed in with the compost. These raised beds measurements are 7.5 feet by 4 feet. Okay, so I've got these flats that I pre-sprouted, though it doesn't look like anything. There actually is some new growth above the soil right there on the anemones. And then I've also got this tray back here, which is full of ranunculus. I'm gonna get these trays planted because it's pretty easy. I just move away some dirt, drop them down there about 4 inches or so, and then space them about 4 to 6 inches apart. But I definitely cheat them more like 4 inches in a zigzag pattern. So I don't think it'll take me that long. And then my ranunculus and anemones are in. So that's my goal. And then I'm going to take a nap, see what time it is when I wake up, and maybe I can finish those window boxes tonight. If not, tomorrow morning. Giving myself grace and not overdoing it, right? Being pregnant with twins, 28 weeks, I've got to give myself grace. So thank thank you to all of you for encouraging me to take it easy, let my husband do the heavy lifting, and just get done what I can.
When we wake, hear the birds and see the sun. Side by side our fears are done.
So I explained this in my last video as well, but I am planting anything that is showing signs of pre-sprouting, and actually this tray is looking really good. If you look at some of these corms, you can see these beautiful white roots coming down from underneath and this growth above. This is a bigger one. There's also smaller ones with smaller growth above. Even if they're hardly showing any at all, here's another bigger one. Beauty. I'm still planting them, like a little white dot on top. Like that one is just starting, but there's definitely pre-sprouting there. So all these are going in the ground. 1, 2, 3. I just delicately separate them. 4 in that handful. Plant them about that deep. If there's a decent amount of growth on them, I'll leave a little grain above the soil. This one I'll just completely bury because there's not as much green. It'll still poke through the soil. Again, about 4 inches apart, 3 or 4 inches deep. And then after this bed is all done, I'll give them a nice watering because my water is not turned on yet. Here is an example of one that has just 2 very tiny little white sprouts coming out of it. I'm gonna plant it. That's considered pre-sprouting. I want to make sure you can see what I'm talking about. That little white sprout there.
Steph, did you see that?
That's it. And here's one that's an example of one that has rotted. There's no pre-sprouting or roots on it, and it almost looks like it's starting to degrade. So that one will not be planted. Okay, well, I wasn't expecting this, but take a look. So I have that ranunculus planted all the way almost to the end of the bed where this stick is poking out right here. I only had 2 that weren't showing any signs of pre-sprouting. Everything else looked good. So I've got to fit my anemones, a whole tray of them, in that little space. We'll see how this goes. I'm going to be spacing them very tightly. Very tightly. So I really want you to get a picture of what anemones look like when they've pre-sprouted. This is an excellent example here. So it was put in the tray this way. Roots are growing underneath. And then eventually we'll get a little sprout up here. This guy has more dirt on it, but you can still see those roots. Woohoo! And then when they start to show growth on top, it looks like that. Little different than a ranunculus leaf. Fantastic. Growth on these anemones in just 2 or 3 days. I mean, I haven't found one yet that does not have growth or pre-sprouting on it. Is amazing. So if I have any advice for you, get your trays, your pre-sprouted trays out and acclimating to the outside as soon as you can, because they'll just take off, or at least mine have. Along the same lines, plant them as soon as you think you're able with decent temperatures, especially if you don't have frost cloth. We have homemade high tunnels that I can put up some protection. I was a little behind this year because of my pregnancy and because of the craziness of these ranunculus getting going, being a little slower this year. They like the cool weather, so don't be afraid if it's 40s and above, bring them outside. So here's an example of how I'm planting these. Here's my hole, maybe 3 inches deep, putting my pre-sprouted anemone in there, root side down, top growth side up, and covering. Just like that. Now let me know as I finish this last line here what your favorite is out of ranunculus or anemones. It's hard for me to pick a favorite, but I feel like if I only had to grow one, it would be anemones, because they're a little more cold hardy. They can stand temperatures around 27 degrees, even a little lower. They've come back for me more full and plentiful here in what was zone 5B, now apparently 6A, when they're not supposed to. And I think they're gorgeous. The vase life, it's a long vase life. They're beautiful. Ranunculus are gorgeous too, but I think they're a little more challenging. It takes the anemones, for me, longer to pre-sprout. After that, it's been easy peasy lemon squeezy. Let me know, comment below. Now, if you didn't see my video where I talked about what varieties I am planting this year for anemones, I'll go through them quickly. We have anemone white from the Farmhouse Flower Farm, anemone Bordeaux, also from the Farmhouse Flower Farm. This one might be my favorite. Anemone red from the Flower Hat, and anemone red and white from the Flower Hat. Well, I've officially finished this bed. Woo, not much grain to see on this end, but it's the whole bed, baby. Let's water this in first before we go and plant some more. And I've got 3/4 of a tray left. Good problem to have. I forgot to finish the front bed. That's a ranunculus bed, so let's put some in there and see how far we get. I need a pregnancy break for a moment. 1 second. While I'm resting, a little information. The anemones and ranunculus will give you spring bouquets. A lot of flower farmers, which I am not officially a flower farmer, will grow these in high tunnels that are covered and will plant them sometime in March to already have blooms. Or, like you've seen with one of mine, if they overwintered for you, you get blooms sooner, which is great for Mother's Day bouquets, things like that. So I recommend just doing what you can with what space you have. Homemade high tunnels are easy to put up. I'll link Free from Blossom and Branches video below. We followed her instructions and it's very easy. You can get everything at Home Depot, and it definitely made a difference, I think, for the ones that have come back for me. They're cool loving flowers, so blooms from any time April through sometime in June, and then when the heat really sets in, they fade away. So for me, it almost is working out better this year that I have 3 ranunculus and anemone beds, because I'm hoping to get a bunch of blooms, as much as I can, over the next couple months before these twins come. I'm due June 10th. So the rest of June and probably July, I'm going to be pretty hands off of the garden. That being said, I hope I get most of my things planted by then, especially the dahlias, and I'll use my irrigation and things will take care of themselves. But that means that I can focus on getting some really beautiful spring bouquets before that time comes, because these are going to pretty much sustain themselves now. The only thing I'm watching is for temperatures to drop below 27, and I'll put the high tunnels back up. But really, we're almost to April 25th, which is my last frost date here, about 10 days. So I think they're going to be fine. So bring on the spring bouquets, baby. So I'm going to go quickly here, fill as much as I can in this bed with anemones, and then I'll come back to you at the end. And that's going to be it for today. I'll meet you back here tomorrow for the window boxes. I got some in and I ran out of room. It's really quite funny how many of these I have, considering I thought I might have none. I'm just going helter-skelter. Wherever I pull back dirt and there's not a ranunculus or an anemone corm, that's where it's being planted. Not exactly foolproof method, but I think it'll work. Okay, I've officially got all of the ranunculus, all of the anemones planted, and actually I found 2 more, and I could not find any more space in this bed, so I'll show you where I put them. And 2 in this one, so we'll see if they come to fruition here. I think it's 7 o'clock, so it's been a few hours out here. I'm calling it a night. I'll see you tomorrow for the window boxes. Hello and good morning. It's the next day. I'm going to get to work on these window boxes. AJ has already put Biotone starter fertilizer in them, also in these pots. If I get to it, I'm going to put some of my pansy seedlings in the big pots. So I'm just going to get after it and show you the results at the end. Here we go. see how I've initially set this up here, and it's working out well because these Euphorbia Ascot Rainbow get 16 to 20 inches tall. So I'll have some real height in the middle, and then these Ranunculus will get about 10 to 12 inches tall. So we'll kind of ladder down. And then I've got those spring matrix pink shades on each end. And I'll fill in with all of these other pansies in the blank spots. So it doesn't look very plentiful now, but in just a few weeks, these will really be overflowing with flowers. Let's get them planted. And just so you know, these planters face west, so they do get full sun, especially in the afternoon. So all of these plants are part sun to full sun, and they should do fine here. And I wanted to let you know this pretty one I showed you before, Grandio Beacon Rose, is a little different from the spring pastel mix, so excited to try that as well. As far as frost protection, Ranunculus are fine with a light frost, pansies will be fine, Ascot Rainbow might need a little protection, but I think at this point I checked our temperatures and we're not dipping into a low freeze, or even a freeze for that matter. Okay, we're looking good here now. I just need to fill in with the other pansies. Okay, I think I like that color placement. Evenly distributed. Now we're gonna get them into the dirt. I'm loving it, and I almost forgot I want to add these pussy willows for even more height in the back, and I think that'll just tie it all together, especially in with the front porch pussy willow trees in the big containers. I do like some continuity between the window boxes and the front porch planters, so I've also got the extra 2 Ascot Rainbows in those big planters as well. Let's cut these and get them in.
Isn't she amazing and beautiful? I love her so much.
So after kind of measuring where I want them to land, I think I want them to stick out about this much. So I'm going to cut them right around here so I have room to press them down into the soil and make them secure. I wish I had another bunch. Okay, I need a couple more branches and I'll go get them later, but you can see where I'm going with it. And lastly, we'll water them in. Perfect, the window boxes are done. One piece of advice, I would always save these little cans because you can use them for potting things up. So I try and save these instead of throw them away right away. Just an FYI. And here's a look at the planters. So I did get the Ascot Rainbow in there, and I used the rest of the 10-pack or 6-pack of pansies in the front. I don't have time today, but I do want to put these Frizzle Sizzle and Antique Shades right on each side, bordering the pots as well. So we'll have a beautiful pansy show. And then I'll get some sort of thriller right here that's a little taller, maybe Osteospermum. I used them last year, the white with slight tinge of purple, and they were so gorgeous. So I'll continue to add to these, but it's a good start. And then these beautiful black urns, I'll put some of the Frizzle Sizzle and Antique Shades pansies in here to have some continuity with the front, and then also something that's a little more thrilling in the middle that's probably red. And then of course the green Algerian ivy just is a nice beautiful draping piece that acts like a neutral up top. So with all of that, hopefully you can see my vision. The front porch isn't done, but that's what I'm planning on, and I'm really glad to have the window boxes done, drawing off of that for inspiration over here. So that'll be it for this video, everyone. We covered a lot there. Thanks for coming along with me. Please comment below and let me know how your window boxes and front porch areas are coming, as well as your ranunculus and anemones. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't. I'd love to have you here. We'll see you in the next video, everybody. Happy planting. Bye.